Good morning to you, Landon. Always a pleasure to have you on. And we're talking Amazon, probably one that we've talked about, more times than I can count. And it's certainly one that we love to get your guys' perspective on. So, what are you guys tracking with LikeFolio, and what should we be aware of?
But it's wild how much it's increased. When we look at the 30-day moving average of purchase intent, it's up about 74% quarter over quarter. So there was a massive surge as things, people got locked down. You couldn't go to stores, and who are you going to turn to? Amazon is a big one. Now, that's not to say that Amazon is the only winner. Walmart and Target also did very well because people go to Amazon. You had a lot of I guess, frustration as they prioritize some things over others. But here you can see on this chart, this 30-day moving average of purchase intent. I mean, you can see right when the quarantine started, it is a sharp move up and to the right for that purchase intent. And then, of course, the stock followed. Amazon now trading just under all-time highs. So, yeah, people definitely turn to Amazon, but they also turn to Walmart and Target. When we look at how much people are doing online delivery, both of those are also doing extremely well as, again, like I said, people were frustrated with Amazon prioritizing the necessities over the wants, the needs over the wants. So Amazon doing really well in all of this. Of course, on their last report, they posted gains pretty much across the board. Every division is doing extremely well, stocks at all-time highs. So Amazon's killing it. And here on this chart, you can see, again, Walmart, Amazon, and Target doing really well on online delivery. You can see the day that quarantine started. Actually, in this chart, I know Amazon dwarfs the other two because they're on the same scale, but actually Walmart saw an increase of about plus 300%. So it quadrupled online delivery during that time period where Amazon was about plus 230. So Walmart getting a little bit more out of this on a percentage basis, but Amazon definitely dominating on a volume basis.
Yeah, Landon, this is a chart. The charts you put up today really signify what just happened in this economy. And almost overnight, and you see it based on the chart you put up, almost overnight, this went from a percentage of an online e-commerce economy to a large percentage of an online e-commerce economy. And the question now remains, how much will go back, right? How much of this is sticky in terms of the move, especially, I imagine out there, Landon, and your data can probably confirm or deny this. There's a whole generation of elderly shoppers that shopped on Amazon for the first time and will never go back to walking in the store, either because of health risks or pure ease. I mean, I'd love to see your data on if you ever break this down by age. But what your data shows is what we all thought was happening, but your data shows that it happened even bigger than some of us expected.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. I agree. I think the demographic data would be incredible. I know that there's a lot of people just anecdotally, my parents, other friends' parents, and of that demographic who never really bought online, but all of a sudden they're forced to, and they see the benefits. They see all the reasons everyone else is doing it. You can get this thing the next day or 2 days later. You don't have to go to the store. And if you kind of change your habits, then that can really become your way of shopping. And so I think that there's going to be a lot of people who are new to this. And, a lot of times people, when you're talking about getting new demographics in as a customer base, it's rarely talking about the 60 and older crowd or the 70 and older crowd. But their money spends just as well and probably a lot more sometimes. So everybody's focused on millennials, but if you get new customer base, it's fantastic. And so I think that's actually what's happening here. And it's not just online delivery, it's food delivery as well. But across the board, Amazon, Walmart, Target, all benefiting. And I would, again, that difference between Target and Walmart versus Amazon is really interesting because Amazon had a lot of frustration in their customer base. There was a decrease in happiness because you couldn't get the things that you wanted right away. Amazon was overwhelmed. They had, I think, $4 billion in COVID costs alone last quarter. So they had to prioritize things. And, I know personally, sometimes I went to Amazon and I saw 3 or 4 weeks as a shipping time, and I just said, no, I'm going to go somewhere else. I went to Walmart or Target or somewhere straight to the manufacturer and got it. And so I think that there's a lot of things that are changing for consumers. Yes, you're bringing in a lot of new customers in that demographic, but you're also getting people to kind of step away from Amazon and maybe explore other areas. So some wins and some losses in these columns for Amazon.
Yeah, Landon, I think a very interesting thing about all of this is I'd love to get your take on this. We know there's going to be tons and tons of history books written about this time. We know it's an unprecedented time, and there's so many different things that people are going to talk about looking back on this, things that we would have done differently, things that we would have done the same, and all of that. I don't want to get into that. I think one of the main takeaways potentially, this is just my speculation, is the ultimate, forced adoption of trends, ripping this Band-Aid off of things that were slowly happening in terms of trend shifts. Retail is the perfect example. This move away from traditional brick and mortar to e-commerce. I think one of the things we're going to find is a major result of all of this was this forced adoption by so many new people to this. And to Kevin's point, how many of those people are just going to say, this is way easier. It doesn't cost that much more, if anything. And, I've done it now. I know how to do it. I'll do this again.
Yeah, I think it's absolutely right. I think this is the forced adoption is a great point. It's like I said before, online delivery of just basic goods, and then also food delivery. I think that those, the Grubhubs of the world are going to be huge beneficiaries from this, because again, going out to restaurants is fantastic, and I really miss it. I can't wait. But getting food delivered is something that a lot of people are doing now. Groceries getting delivered, all kinds of goods. So you force somebody into something and they learn it, and all of a sudden it's a new habit. And so I think that's fantastic for all these companies. And then for Amazon, we've got data that's showing that people are not frustrated enough to quit their Prime membership. Yes, they may be going to Target or Walmart for a thing here or there, but I think that once they get back to the 1 or 2 day deliveries across the board, they'll probably just retake their position as the number one clear-cut winner. But for the time being, Walmart and Target have a chance to steal some customers.
Kevin, one other thing about Amazon that's been interesting is, the last few years, their cloud business with AWS has really powered kind of their retail e-commerce business, which has kind of, cost them money as they've really pushed the envelope in terms of shipping. This event is, of course, really boosted that e-commerce business. And I'm sure it's been more of a tailwind than a drag, if anything. But then you also think about Prime, you get media, you get content. This is really one of those companies that's on the forefront of creating this ecosystem of really everything. And the cloud business it's likely benefited as well, given all the stay-at-home economy that we're seeing now and all the businesses transitioning things to be able to be mobile and be able to work from home.
Yeah, this is, the Amazon story is, let's face it, there's only one thing that can hurt Amazon long term, and that's the government. Legislation or regulation can hurt government. You just saw Vice President Biden on the air today talking about Amazon. And so I'm sure there's some hesitation when it comes to that. The stock is up today, but Amazon's a stock that has reinvented the world. My last question for Landon is, when I look at the chart, your subscription comparison is I know that Walmart, Target, they have brick and mortar and e-commerce. Amazon's all e-commerce. But does Amazon really have that big of a head start or a lead on the Walmarts and Targets of the world? Does that graph accurately show how far ahead they are?
Yeah, it does. It's basically people talking about getting things delivered or subscribing to those services. And so, yes, Amazon is absolutely dominant in that field. And those charts are on the same scale, the same axis. So Amazon is much higher than those other two. But I will say that Target is the loser among the three. If you can say up 150% is a loser. Amazon plus 230 and Walmart plus 300. So all really big numbers, huge surge. And if you actually look at that chart, you can see that Amazon had a massive surge, but it's also getting a little bit of a pullback as people start to go out and shop more. Whereas Walmart's actually the one that's holding on to those gains more than the others. So it's doing really well. Walmart and Target kind of holding on to the gains that they had, where Amazon fell back a lot more. So there was a big spike in Amazon, and then Walmart and Target are the ones that people are kind of saying, you know what, I can also get stuff here because I'm not going to wait 3 or 4 weeks on Amazon. Go to Walmart, Target, check it out. And if you can get it in a day or two, then you open up an account and you start shopping with them. And so it's really all about habits, and it's that forced adoption that Alex was talking about. So it's going to be really interesting to see how this all plays out once things get back to normal.
So, Landon, we're getting close on time here, and I ultimately want to get your kind of outlook on Amazon, given the run that it's had and your data. But real quick, then also kind of a follow up on what Kevin's talking about and the point between the comparison between Amazon, Target, and Walmart. These have really been the two companies, Walmart and Target, that have been associated as Amazon's kind of new rivals that have emerged, even though they're kind of legacy companies in a similar but different space. It doesn't look like it's much of a rivalry yet. Is this all about the potential because of the logistic networks that those two companies have and their ability to be a competitor, less so about their actual ability to compete right now?
Yeah, I think so. I think that you've got so many stores out there which can be delivery hubs. It's a logistics play, just like you're talking about. And a lot of these Walmarts and Targets have groceries in them, whereas Amazon's got a much smaller footprint with Whole Foods. And so once you get into that space, then you're really talking a big logistics game. And so I think that, yes, I think it's longer term. I think it's the potential to compete, but they're also showing a really strong ability to execute because if you rewind and go back to Walmart or Target's website 5 years ago, it was trash. I mean, no one's using it. It was very difficult to use. Now they're both basically just as easy to use as Amazon, and they've done a much better job on the technology side, which is where Amazon's lead has always been, is technology. Now, if you even that playing field, then it's who's going to win on logistics. And so long term, I love both Walmart and Target to take over on Amazon, not to beat them out completely, but to really cut into the lead of delivery because they've got that logistics play going. It's a good point, Alex.
And then, Landon, closing thoughts here. Amazon's had an incredible run through this. Does the data support it? Is it enough, or is Amazon maybe ripe here for a bit of a pullback?
It's basically at all-time highs. Tremendous run over the last month or two. I love this company long term. I'd rather see a little bit of a pullback. If it's me and I'm thinking about investing, I'm probably just selling puts, try to get some income along the way. And if I get hit with the shares, fine, I'm an investor. Right now, I'm not buying. It's a bit too rich for my blood. And I really want to see what happens whenever all this shakes out, see what that purchase intent does, and see, do people start shopping it at Target and Walmart more than Amazon? Does Amazon hold on to all these new adoption customers? That's a big question. Right now, I'm probably just selling puts, and if I get some shares, fantastic.